for us. So welcome back to
Outlook
Austin,
doubtful.
Texas. How is your 2025 going so far?
Hey, both days in or 1.5 days in, we're doing it, boys. It's good. No, everything's good so far. I spent January 1st with my family. We went way up into the mountains mushroom hunting
Wow.
and
Fun.
picked a giant bunch of wild golden chanterelles that we cooked up for some
Yes.
family last night. So it's a
Yes.
good start to the year.
So I watched football and did barbecue. So that was almost the same thing, right?
Man, I'll tell you, I have a bunch of friends that have been outside foraging lately because it's becoming more and more popular, and I love that. Nothing could make me happier than getting outside. Got friends in Oregon, Colorado. They all say the same things. So if you're not doing it, you should be, people, especially if you're in those states. So that's really cool that you did that, especially with family.
Get
Oh, I love it, man. It's Easter egg hunting for the next generation. You know what I mean? Like I take my son out. They love both my boys. I have two boys, 1 and 5, and even the little 1-year-old gets it. Like he spots the little, the mushroom sticking up out of the ground. He's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. He like knows it's something. It's great.
I love it. I'm sure he gets that vim and vigor and excitement from you because I love your energy. It's one of the things that I think draws all of us to you, and you bring that to
Oh,
nature. So I'm excited. It seems like it's passing down to the kiddos.
thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So we are speaking with Forrest Galante. He is, if you don't know who he is a wildlife biologist. Forrest, I think you are the wildlife equivalent to Neil deGrasse Tyson as it
look at
relates to astrophysicists. I'm glad that you're blowing up because the work that you do, I think, is important and it's educational. And we appreciate you being here. As you know, Forrest, we're in Austin, Texas. We're right on the cusp of the hill country, which is very outdoorsy, very wooded type stuff. In Texas, I looked this up. There are 74 endangered species, or 74 animals on the endangered species list. I didn't know this, but the ocelot in Texas, there's a couple different numbers, but there's less than 25 in the wild of ocelots. I'm curious, you've been all around the world. Do you have any desire to hop into Texas, find one of the endangered species or extinct animals? And if so, which would you choose and why?
Great question. First of all, ocelot are beautiful, but as
Yes,
you
they
probably
are.
know, Darren, yeah, they're incredible animals. By the way, thank you, Neil deGrasse Tyson of biology. Like, I'm going to
You
put that
are.
out.
You
There.
absolutely
Yeah,
are.
Love
that's
it.
a big deal right
Love
there.
it.
Um, no, so to answer your question, there's a bunch of incredible species, but for me, there's one thing in Texas that stands out above all others. In 1978, researchers from Texas State collected one or two or three, I don't remember, specimens of the Texas blind or toothless blind cavefish. And since then,
Hmm.
it's never been seen again. 1978, it was deep down in a cave. I think, where are the caves? San Antonio region.
The new Braunfels.
Yeah, it was collected in a cave around San Antonio. This toothless blind cavefish or catfish, blind cave catfish. I think I don't know, but I'm. It's a lot of words, but it's incredible little fish with no eyes, right? And the
Yep.
only time it was ever collected was 1978, and no one has been able to find one since. The species has never been found again. So if it were me and I were looking for an animal in Texas, this is what I would love to target.
How,
Rummaging around in caves, chasing waterways, they're probably there.
how much spelunking have you done in your day,
He
Forrest?
just wanted to use the word
I did.
spelunking.
I wanted to throw it
I
in.
could see it on the tip of his tongue. He was like, "Oh, here we go. I got a word."
I got
Yeah.
a chance.
Uh, like I've done a fair amount. Like I'm not an experienced spelunker, if you will.
Sure.
But we spent 6 days in Song Doon Cave, which is the largest cave in the world in Vietnam. I've done a lot of cave diving in the cenotes around Tulum and worked in caves in the Ozarks with with blind salamanders. So I have spent some time in caves, but it's same as like if you ask me like, do you want to hike to the top of Everest? Like, absolutely not. But if you told me I'd find the extinct Himalayan quail on the top of Everest, I'd be the next guy up there. You know what I mean?
Man,
Like,
I love
yeah,
that. It shows that you have like you have really honed your purpose, like a path. You're like, here's the thing that makes me have fire, and you see it in you. And I love that. That's so neat. So it's like, hey, no, I don't want to do the wildest, crazy thing, but because I love this, I have such a passion for things that are going extinct. I'll go to the end of the world, basically.
100%.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't like. My wife always wants to go hike just to hike, and I'm like, that's awful. I have no interest. Like,
I
like you
love
think
it.
like this avid outdoorsman, like I love hiking. I
Yeah.
really don't. Hiking blows. But if you're hiking
Yes.
for a purpose, I'm all in.
Yes.
Like
Man, if I'm not fly fishing at the end of my hike, I don't want to go. And I'd rather set up camp at the end of the road. But if we got good trout 12 miles in, big ones, let's go.
that's it. That's exactly how I feel. So
Goal
same with this
oriented.
blind cavefish. So
That's
yeah,
Okay,
I'm
so
awesome.
right
first
there.
things first, this 30-minute interview now needs to be 2 hours because I'm already enthralled and I have a billion questions. But you're listening to the Damn Music Show. We have Forrest Galante. If you don't know who he is an amazing content creator in addition to TV and podcasts and YouTube. And if you want to learn anything about animals, conservation,
He's the guy.
and also be entertained, please check out the Wild Times podcast. I listen to it nearly every day at the gym. So, Forrest, you mentioned 1978. Okay.
Yeah.
I've got a few years on you. In 1988, I was fishing in far northeast Texas and almost Arkansas. I believe, and I will go to my grave saying this, that I saw a gray wolf in far northeast Texas. All of my friends said, no, you saw a coyote. But I grew up in the sticks. I've seen a lot of coyotes in my life. Is there
Sure.
any chance in 1988, will you please help me shut up all my friends and say it's possible that gray wolves lived on that far northeast border of Arkansas and Texas in the Piney Woods?
Don't break his heart, Forrest. Don't break it.
Just
delicate.
lie to me
He's
and say
delicate.
yes.
No. Listen. I'll be very diplomatic here.
No, you can bring it harsh. You can bring it harsh. Go ahead.
I'll be, is it possible? Yes. I mean, a wolf can travel like 30, 40 miles per day.
That's all you
right?
need, Darren.
Yeah.
And so,
There's a chance.
wolves there are wolves in Michigan, right? I mean, that's
Right.
that's a couple days travel, but more than a couple, but that's a few days travel, but it's possible, right? Straight shot down, more or less. So it's all possible. Is it likely? No. But that being said, though, Darren, there was a time in recent human history, where wolves covered the entirety of North America. There were
Right.
subspecies throughout Texas, throughout California, where I live, everything. And what we're seeing now today is wolves are recolonizing the United States, like with fish and game protections and more awareness for conservation and more laws in place to preserve species that are prey species for wolves. We are seeing wolf expansion. Right here where I live, I'm one county. I'm in Santa Barbara County. The county north of me, San Luis Obispo County, probably hasn't had wolves in 100 years. Last year, there was a wolf pack in San Luis Obispo County.
Wow.
Like they tracked
Okay.
them all over. Not one person saw them. We just saw the satellite data from one of the callers, right? So
Cool.
if you were a hiker that was hiking in San Luis Obispo County and came back and said, I saw a wolf, everybody would say you're a lunatic.
Right.
But they were there. And we only know that because of the satellite tracking data. So it's possible.
That's
It's
awesome.
unlikely, but it's possible.
I think
that's all I care about.
This is a
right
good Dumb and Dumber moment. 1 in a million. So
Yeah,
you're saying there's a chance.
All right. Okay, so something I do know is true is North Texas. So we're in Austin now, but I grew up in North Texas. And just last month, there's lots of videos, not the little house cat, out of perspective. There was a mountain lion videotaped in an RV camp in Lake Dallas. I grew up right down the street, but it is kind of rare for North Texas. The mountain lions are closer to the Mexico border, I believe, in Texas. But my question to you is, what is the reason that mountain lions are showing up rummaging through the trash of this RV park? And what, as human beings, what do we need to know about mountain lions? And if they show up in our neighborhood, what do we do about it?
Okay, so first of all, similarly to wolves, mountain lions are native to the entirety of the United States, right? All the way down into South America, whatever. But they have been expatriated from areas, and then they are recolonizing areas that they were previously expatriated from, right? Because there are prey coming back. Now, at the same time, I'd say there's two other factors going on. One is humans are expanding into their habitats constantly. We know that. But two is everybody has a phone or a Ring camera or an RV cam now. It's not that these mountain lions weren't rummaging through your garbage 10 years ago. You just didn't have a Ring camera on your trash can 10 years ago. Now all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, look what's going on. But the truth is, it was happening 10 years ago. It was happening 100 years ago. We just didn't know about it then like we do today. More and more surveillance technology is coming out, and we're seeing and learning more and more things. And we think it's this revelation, like, oh my God, there's a mountain lion in North Texas. Like, no shit, like they've always been there. We just didn't have a camera on it.
Yeah, so that's
100%.
true with all of life right now in terms of technology.
Probably
But, yeah.
technology shining a light on everything. I will say, like Darren's coyote to wolf story, I grew up on like a 200-acre ranch, and there was, what we decided to call a mountain lion, but definitely could have been a bobcat on the back corner of the property. But we
Those two
found,
don't even look anything like each other.
you know,
4 legs and a tail.
yeah,
But,
I'm
actually, bobcats got a little.
I've seen bobcats a number of times, but there was the fur and the excrement going on. So, and it was eating animals back there. We'd find dead carcasses and things all the time. So we were like, maybe a mountain lion and 200 acres. So
Speaking of technology, Forrest, I'm going to be a little bit vulnerable here. I'm going to show you the back of my cell phone,
Okay.
and then I want
I'm
you to see if
curious,
you can
too.
identify the sticker, and then we're going to talk about the next thing. So, do you know what that is,
I
right?
can definitely identify the sticker. It's a thylacine.
Okay,
what
so
is going on here, boys? What are we
that
doing?
is
Help.
that is me
help me.
admitting how much of a nerd I am, and I know what the heck is going on. So check this out, Mike. Right up the road from us in Dallas, Texas, there's a company called Colossal Biosciences, and the company is doing Jurassic Park with purpose type work, which is a phrase I stole straight up from Forrest. I don't mind saying that. But they are doing de-extinction, which means that they are using CRISPR technology. They're doing just the same thing you saw in the movie Jurassic Park, using DNA, using artificial intelligence, and they are bringing back to life extinct animals. One of them is the thylacine, which is Tasmanian tiger. They're also working on the woolly mammoth and a dodo bird, which is insane. Forrest has had the honor, I would say, to work with Colossal Biosciences. I'm not exactly sure of your relationship with them, but why don't you tell us, give us an update. What is their plan for the thylacine? What is the plan for the woolly mammoth? And when are we going to see it? Because it feels like that goalpost keeps getting pushed back. So what do you know today?
Yeah, great. So I'm a conservation advisor at Colossal Biosciences, which means, as you guys know, in addition to being a great conversationalist, I'm considered a
You are excellent at
You're
conversationally.
going to have to get a new business card now, right? With a good conversation.
But so I do advising for them as to how to manage their conservation. There's a huge conservation arm of Colossal. It is an absolute honor to be working with them. But by far the most exciting and the most splashy headlines of everything they're doing is bringing back these animals that were previously wiped off the face of the earth, mostly because of human interference. So
Right.
we can go into the weeds on that as much as you like, but to get to your question, there's 3 key species that they're focused on right now. The thylacine on the back of your cell phone, personal favorite of mine, the woolly mammoth, and the dodo bird. And so if I'm not mistaken, and you're right, the goalposts do keep moving, and the reason is because they are perfectionists.
And it's hard.
It's incredibly hard, and you can't put out a Frankenstein animal, right? Like that's not how this works, and I'm not saying they are, and I'm not saying they're going to. That's why the goalposts are moving, because
Sure.
they're doing science that's never been done before. It's revolutionary work, and they're recreating animals that have been lost to science in some cases for thousands of years. And so they're really perfectionists, and they're making sure that everything they do with redundancy and over, and it's not a Jurassic Park situation. So all that being said, my understanding is 2028, I want to say, 2027? No, 2028 will be the first extinct species reintroduced, or not reintroduced, but brought back, and that will be the thylacine. That's what they're the closest on. Following that closely is the dodo, and they've just had a huge breakthrough with PGCs, which are primordial germ cells, which is how you have to do cloning in birds. It's very, very complex. I don't even pretend to understand it. And then after that will be the woolly mammoth. Now, there are breakthroughs coming out of them all the time. Like, I'm obviously under strict NDAs, but things that are happening that you see and you go, oh my God, when you're at the lab, and you can't even believe that these things are happening. And I know this is so lame.
Now you have to tell us.
Dude, no, this is super exciting, and I love the curtain is pulled. It'll be pulled back later, but I got really young kids, and having them know a world where these things are there and they weren't for my whole life is such a cool concept. And having that around as we watch music become less and less and more one person, we're going to watch nature hopefully swing back the other way. It's really exciting.
So,
And I'll give you this little Easter egg before we move on. There is going to be something that is going to change the world coming out this year.
Oh, my
Like
man.
I can't say more. I'm probably going to get in trouble for saying that, but they are going to announce something that they've already achieved this year, and it's going to blow everybody's minds. I mean, it really, really is.
so
I'm excited.
So again, Mike, he is talking about a company called Colossal Bioscience. They're in Dallas. I hope they're a publicly traded company. I'm thinking I'm going to start investing right now. Hey, so I'm wedging in a question here. I know that you have gone twice to look for the thylacine, again, which is the Tasmanian tiger. It's been extinct for roughly 100 years. It's this bizarre-looking animal. It's a marsupial that has stripes and a long tail, and it's got this jaw that opens up to like 180 degrees. It's insane.
Yeah.
Forrest, I've heard you talk about Papua New Guinea. New Guinea is a possible spot for the thylacine. My question is a business one. I've heard you say sometimes if you want to go to Peru and look for the giant sloth, you need millions of dollars. Indulge me. Why does it cost so much money? I know you got to get a crew, you got to get technology, but why is it past the six-figure level? Why is these adventures so expensive?
It's a good question. So it doesn't necessarily have to be, right? It can be, there's sort of two ways to look at it. It can be cheap and long, or it can be short and effective.
The good, fast, cheap triangle.
Right, exactly. So if I want to go into that valley in Peru or go into Papua New Guinea, totally. I can load up a backpack and be gone for the next 5 years. And maybe I'll find it and maybe I won't. Or I can raise a few $1 million. I can fly in with a helicopter. I can have a staff of 200 people, or rather 200 cameras being set out and a staff of 30 people, and do a proper survey and a proper grid in an area that's never scientifically been surveyed, while bringing in the world's best botanist, the world's best herpetologist, and do a proper survey. So the truth is, by doing it the way and that would still take 3 months or so, just to be clear. So by doing it the way, the latter that I just mentioned, it has massive costs, but it also has massive upside potential and a much higher chance of success versus me in there with a backpack for 5 years, and then I come home and find out my wife's moved on and I got two never met. You know what I mean?
I feel your pain, brother. Believe me, I get it.
That makes perfect sense.
Unfortunately, it's just the nature of the beast. Like, if you want to do a proper scientific survey correctly, and call it scientific, call it whatever you like, but you want to do a proper wildlife survey correctly, you need money and you need resources, especially in these places that are so remote that almost no Western science has ever taken place in them, right? So it's just an expensive endeavor.
Well, speaking of your wife, so I know your wife's a zoologist. Is that right?
That's right.
What is a zoologist? I'm sorry, I don't know that yet.
No, that's okay. She literally worked at a zoo, and then she did her degrees in like animal husbandry.
Gotcha. Okay, so I heard on the podcast, you said something that caught my attention, because we're in a music studio right now, which is where we do our show. We're both musicians. You said something to the effect that your wife doesn't care for music. You take these road trips and you don't turn on the music. Is that true?
Come on.
It's legit bonkers insane. I don't know how any human being is like this. Like, she can just go like 4 hours in a car with the radio off.
There's no way I could do that.
I would just, the thoughts, my brain, I can't take that type of pressure.
Yeah, I don't want to be alone with myself. I hate talking to myself. All right, so we're going to...
She might be a psychopath. Like, it's utterly...
I mean, we all are just a little bit, a healthy dose is fine.
Well, so we're going to, Forrest is kind enough to indulge us in a game. If you listen to his podcast, Wild Times Podcast, they do games there. So the way his podcast, the way I describe it, is similar to ours. It's grounded in a particular topic, animal. But he and his podcast mates, they do bro talk, right? They just do guy talk and talk about a lot of different things. And then sometimes they play a game. So... Forrest Galante has discovered 8 animal species that were previously thought extinct or classified as extinct. And so, because we focus on music, his wife doesn't care for music, we're going to call the game... there's lag time. We have a game called Anthropomorphizing with Forrest. So I get to use the word anthropomorphizing once every 5 years. So I'm happy that I slid it out.
Well,
so Forrest, here's how the game works.
I don't think you've used it.
I'm going to, hopefully I use it right, otherwise I look like an idiot. I'm going to list the 8 animals that Forrest has found. which I Googled, and the internet's never wrong. Forrest, I'd like for you to name either the style of music that this animal listens to or their favorite band. Does that make sense? Sorry for the 20-minute intro there. But you are listening to Forrest Galante. This is the Damn Music Show. Thank you so much for Forrest for being here and indulging us. I could talk to you all day long. But I'm going to rifle through the 8 animals. Forrest, put you on the spot. You tell me what kind of music they listen to. All right, here's the first. The Fernandina Island Tortoise.
Yeah, so the Fernandina Island Tortoise is like a classical rock, like vibing, the head's bobbing. I don't know if you've ever seen a tortoise walk, but the head goes like
slow
this.
ride, take it.
Yeah, exactly. Slow ride. That's the perfect song. Right? You got it. Nailed. Done.
What's the like Finding Nemo one? Hey guys, like super chill.
Yeah, exactly. The surfer turtle. Exactly.
Oh, nice. All right. So the next is the Zanzibar leopard.
So that's like some African marimba music. Do you know what a marimba is?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've got one over there. That's like some.
I think we have one
somewhere.
There you go. Yeah, that might be one on the couch back there. So that's like some slow kind of tingy marimba music. Very shy, very quiet, very elusive, moving in the shadows kind of music.
Love it.
Yeah, this is great. I can't wait for him to tell his wife, like, how's the interview this morning? Like, these guys made me list my animals.
I like music. It's just her. I think music. I listen to music.
All right, so the next one is the Miller's Grizzled Langer.
What a name.
I'm probably butchering these names. The Miller's Grizzled.
Yeah, like if you look at the Miller's Grizzled Langer, they call it the Dracula monkey. It's got this tuft of color of fur around its neck. Very goth. Like we're talking like Marilyn Manson.
Awesome.
Like very dark. Yeah.
Yes.
No, he's a moody, broody little guy.
I was hoping you were going to say My Chemical Romance, but we'll take Marilyn Manson.
No.
All right, so the next one is the Pondicherry Shark.
Interesting.
These names are great.
The Pondicherry, he's a real smooth jazz kind of shark. I'll tell you.
He has put some thought into this. This is awesome.
Some Miles Davis vibes.
I'll tell you why, because the Pondicherry moves in such like an elegant way as it swims from the ocean to the river. It's very sort of like I could see the Pondicherry like at a Sinatra club. You know what I mean? Like very sort of tuxedoed out,
Yes.
very smooth.
I love it.
I feel like a new content channel is coming out from Forrest here. We got this figured out. All right, so the next one is the Flap-Nosed Hound Shark.
Flap-nosed hound shark. Yeah, we're like AC/DC sort of that. Like he's just a shark that just degaff. You know what I mean? Like it's a shark that he lives in his little range. He doesn't care about anybody's thoughts or feelings. He's doing his own thing. He's foraging around in the sand, hanging out in the rock reef. And very like, because they live in the surf, right? So it's like that AC/DC like chaos era music.
Awesome. All right, so we have 3 more. Hopefully I'm getting all these right. The Ornate Sleeper Ray.
This is how I describe myself, actually. Ornate sleeper ray. Good night. Goodbye.
The Ornate Sleeper Ray, that's interesting. Let's see. So we got like a very flat, well, it's very electric, right? So we need a lot of, I know I just did AC/DC, but we need some electric guitar in there. It's literally an electric animal. It has an electric pulse. So
That's right. We're forming a band of
With some
animals.
more Eddie Van Halen vibes, more upbeat and go, or just back 80s rock, it sounds like. Metallica, maybe? Ride the Lightning album?
Yeah, I think that adds up. I like that. Yep.
Little Kirk Hammett vibes.
All right, so we have 2 more. The Rios Apropos Cayman.
Oh, so
That's
Blink
awesome.
182. Like
Yes.
Love Blink.
Girl at the Rock Show. A lot of teen angst going on with these kind of. I'm telling you, man. Like you find them when you go down into that area. You're like, are they around? They're all around, but they're like sitting on their own banks, ignoring each other. Like
Yes.
like high school prom in the early 2000s. Very Blink.
Way too cool. Too cool. Oh,
Yeah,
excuse
way
me.
too
So the
cool.
last one of the
They're like
8.
yellow and all their buddies are green. Like they're just like, oh yeah, lip ring for sure.
Okay, and the headliner, last but not least, the Javan Tiger.
The Javan Tiger. This is big. I almost see like who's the composer that did Star Wars? Like the orchestra.
Oh, John Williams.
Yeah, I almost see like John Williams,
What?
like orchestral music. It's like big and bold, and like you need a lot of brass instruments in there. Like it's a very impressive cat.
That's
I didn't
awesome.
find that, by the way, to be clear, but still, we'll talk about it. Yeah.
So we have about 4 minutes left. Forrest, tell people what they can see and hear and experience, both on your YouTube channel and your podcast, Wild Time Podcast. You know, today's news has been awful the last 48 hours with a lot of horrible things in the world. Everybody's looking for an escape and entertainment. I would say Forrest produces infotainment on his YouTube channel. It's fun and interesting, but you genuinely learn whether you want to or not. And I don't mean to answer for you, but tell people better than I can, A, where to find you on YouTube, B, what they can expect both for YouTube and your podcast show.
Yeah, thanks, Darren. I mean, you can literally just Google my name for any medium of entertainment, and we try and have it there. That's social media. That's the new YouTube. The YouTube's only a year and a bit old. That's the podcast, which is called The Wild Times, or literally on your TV on Discovery or HBO Max, or just called Max now. And everything we do, you really summed it up. Everything I do, I strive to do as edutainment. I want you to be entertained the whole time, but come out of there going, wow, animals are amazing. I learned something I didn't know. A really, really good producer buddy of mine once said to me, he's like, the best TV show, which translates to podcast and YouTube and everything else, the best you can ever do is entertain somebody and they come out of there having learned something without even realizing that they learned it. And I took that to heart, and I so believe it. And you know, that's the premise at which we built the YouTube channel off, which started like 14, 15 months ago now. And it's entirely just like, let me show you the things that I love and what I'm passionate about, with no confines of a television show or short format social media or whatever it happens to be. And let's just go on a cool, fun adventure together and learn about stuff, because I love learning about stuff in the wild world. So that's all it is. It's really, really simple.
So do you miss the long format? So I saw on your podcast, sorry to get really granular here, but you talked about a recent fishing trip that you took, a YouTube winner, and there's fish jumping in the boat. And you said it was one of the funnest things that you've done, but it had low engagement, right?
Bomb.
Yeah.
Totally bomb.
So I do marketing and social media for a living. I think the reason, not that you asked, is because people tune in for less of that shouting, look how great our life is, and more of, I'm in the hills of Vietnam and I found this Mylar balloon, you know, in this trap right here. And I didn't even know these things sort of existed. So my question is, are you frustrated with the shift from long format storytelling, beginning, middle, and end? And now everything's got to be in 3 minutes, or are you adapting and it's all the same to you?
No, not at all. And to be honest, I'm not very good at the short format stuff. You know, like I just put out a YouTube video 2 weeks ago that's 37 minutes long. So that's not short format. You know, 37-minute YouTube video is pretty long.
Is this the private zoo in India?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, which has like 6 million views.
It does. Yeah, it's doing very, very well, and it was an incredible experience to go there. But you know, a TV show that we make, because I own the production company that does the TV shows, so I'm behind the scenes, I'm behind the camera, I'm in front of the camera, the whole thing. The TV show that we deliver to a network's 44 minutes. The YouTube video we just put out 37 minutes. Like, there's not a lot of difference. You know what I mean? So the style in which you do things, the presentation style, the story flow, obviously there's no act breaks or any of that, but everything else is pretty much the same. So it doesn't frustrate me at all. It's just learning how to do a different style of storytelling and medium. And I'll be honest, just between us, somebody will hear this, but I'm pretty burnt out on the whole TV thing. Like, it's just, it's very like, I get pushed into a box and into a corner that I don't really want to be. And I won't go into a lot of detail on that, but it just is the way it is when you're answering to network executives. I don't have that on YouTube. I can do whatever I want, say whatever I like, leave it in, don't leave it in, do that, ignore that. You know, like, it's very free flowing, and it's more successful for a reason.
I appreciate that answer more than you'll ever understand. Thank you for sharing that. You know, since you were kind enough to do extra innings for us overtime, I have, this is a selfish question. I am super, super curious what your thoughts about on this. And if you don't want to answer, say, dude, I don't want to answer. So you did an interview with, I love it. So am I. I'll tell anybody. You did an interview 4 years ago on Joe Rogan, where you said, hey, here's why some few people in the world think that dragons actually exist. And in there you said 3 times, I'm not one of those people. And then here, like within about a month ago, you were quoted in the media. Joe Rogan was that Joe really believes in dragons, and they are quoting the episode that you were in. Are you irritated by that? I'm irritated that they misquoted you so much, and I'm not an easily irritated person, but isn't that silly? I mean, what are your thoughts on this?
I think that the internet as a medium for media has become just so convoluted, and anybody can say anything, and fact checking is like irrelevant. And that's one of the reasons. And look, I make mistakes. I'm not saying my media is perfect either. I've said things that are incorrect and gone back and been like, crap, I had that stat wrong. I had that number wrong. In fact, I'm pretty sure I said wolves can travel 30 miles a day. I think they can travel over 100. But you know what I mean? When you're talking, you just say things that you remember.
Anybody that's going to get hung up on that minutia has got issues. But yeah, please continue.
My point being candid with you, I don't care. I don't care if The View says that Joe Rogan and I think dragons are real. I don't care. Why would I care? I don't think dragons are real. I never did. I just thought it was a fun, interesting thing that I spoke to Joe about.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Joe also doesn't think dragons are real. Him and I have discussed this, by the way, since that came out, right? Like we texted him. And I was like, dude, how funny is this? And he's like, bro, they're dragging us through the dirt. You know what I mean? Like we thought it was funny. He changed his Twitter bio to say
dragon believer.
Yeah, and sent me a screenshot of it. And I was like, that's hilarious. So it's just, the whole thing's just funny. Like it doesn't bother me at all.
I think there are many things that I actually have come to love about social media. It's a long list of things I don't, right? But we wouldn't have connection to you and other people, and I find it very connecting and human, and being in the same position where it's like whatever comes out of your mouth can be criticized. Me and Darren talk about this a lot. I don't go back that much. I'm like, somebody's like says whatever, I'm like, yeah, I did. I called it reggaeton. I messed up. My bad. let's cycle forward.
Thing is, guys, sorry to have my eyes down. I'm just making sure my next thing doesn't get too pushed too much. But
we can wrap it up here.
No, I'm good. I'm happy. But the thing
I have
is,
two more questions. Go ahead, keep going.
It's no problem at all. The thing is, like, when you're creating content constantly, whether you're podcasting or doing YouTube videos or whatever, everybody makes mistakes. Every single human being 100%. In the world says something that they're like, oh, wait, that wasn't right. Or my brain was 2 steps ahead of the conversation I was having. It's just going to happen. And people like, it's incredible because someone will watch a 40-minute YouTube video, whatever it is, and love every second of it, except you'll say one buzz thing that upsets them because it's wrong, and that's it. You're not a real biologist. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. You said this is 18 pounds. It's 16 pounds. You're like, okay, buddy.
All right,
sure,
brother.
I'm not a real biologist, but you got it.
So I have that issue with Swifties, right? Because we review music and talk music theories and that kind of stuff, and I'll spend 10 minutes saying nice things about Taylor Swift, and I'll critique one thing, and the Swifties come at me like they hate me from the old neighborhood. So speaking of the brain on this, a couple more questions. Do you consider yourself a brave person?
A brave person?
Yes. Here's why I asked this.
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I've seen you look for sharks where you've gotten bit and you're bleeding, and the sharks are swimming around the boat, and then you just jump right in while you're bleeding. I've seen you jump out of a boat in charge of snapper that could bite your fingers and hands off. Are you thinking about these things, or are you that? I know you're not an adrenaline junkie. I'm not suggesting that. Are you that excited and you want to get the job done so much, or are you concerned and you're like push through it? I'm like, it doesn't matter. I am amazed by your bravery, quite frankly. So on some of the things that you do.
That's very, very generous. I'll say 2 things to that. I definitely act before I think, and that has literally and figuratively bitten me in the ass a few times. So I definitely, like, when I just jump off a boat at something or just grab a shark, I just do it. And then in hindsight, like, the adrenaline kicks in and I'm shaking and I'm like, that was stupid. Why did I do that? It reminds me of that scene in The Other Guys, when he's like, are you thinking what I'm thinking? And they jump off the building. Like, that's exactly
Aim for the bushes.
Aim for the bushes. Yeah, that's the exact kind of stupid thing I would do, 100%. And it's sad to even admit that. But That's
love it.
part one of it is I act before I think. And then oftentimes in hindsight, I'm like rattled by what I just did. Part two is, I guess three part. Part two is I make calculated risks. Like I take calculated risks, but I think I understand the situation a lot of the times before I take the risk.
And
part
as a
three is
viewer, we don't know that you are calculating that risk.
Of course, yeah. You don't know what my understanding of the situation is, the animals, the weather conditions, the rocks, the depth, whatever it happens to be. So I take risks, and it's bitten me in the ass a lot. But they're calculated risks.
The last segment is this, and I have one last question.
I get snappy.
So sorry, Micah.
Well, hold on. I got to say one more part to that.
Yes, sir. Please do.
That's okay. I am not a. Do I think I'm brave? Probably a little bit because I get scared plenty. I'm not fearless by any means.
Of course.
Like I think anybody who's fearless is literally a moron because you should
I agree. Totally.
It's hardwired into us. So I am not fearless, but I push through things that I'm scared of for sure, and it often yields results. So that was the actual answer to your question.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I think the technology that you use with the hex covering and the thermal drones and blinds that you build, I think you take as much safety precaution as you can. However, when you're sticking your head underneath a porch in Australia and there's a deadly snake 3 feet from your face, that's where I'm like, what in the fuck is this guy doing right here? So dude, the world needs you. Just be careful and please keep doing what you're doing. And just, and your kids need you too. So
Agree.
You don't need me to tell you how to live your life. And I'm not doing that. But as someone who appreciates what you're doing, please be careful out there.
Awesome.
So I guess my last question is, what is next, man? What is 2025? What is your goals? What at the end of this year you want to look back and say, I did this, this, and this? What are those things?
I think 2025 is going to be a big year for myself and my team. We have a lot of stuff on the horizon. We're going to be going back to India day after tomorrow. It's confidential, but I'm going to say it anyway. We're going to Colombia to catch Escobar's hippos and castrate them.
Awesome. We will not put it out until after you. Yeah, but that's crazy.
All good, whatever. I mean, I'm working with the Colombian government. It's not a secret.
Cool.
It's just something I've been working on for years.
Wait a minute. Did we just get an exclusive?
Oh yeah, you're the first people that have ever heard.
Let's go.
But yeah, I think it's going to be a big year. Wildlife conservation. There is no end in sight to it. There is no stopping, and I love it too. Like I'll be very selfish about it. It's not just all for the animals. I love what I do.
Sure,
so
that's great.
I think there's a lot of good stuff coming up, and I'm excited for the world to see it. And I wouldn't say I'm transitioning away from TV. I have 2 new series and 2 new specials coming out this year. But I am focusing a lot more on like the YouTube and online stuff, which is really fun for me too, because it's a whole new world.
Well, we will definitely put the links to your podcast and YouTube on all of our output. So, Micah, we have kept him past this time for us. This has been a tremendous amount of fun. You're a rock star. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll see you on the social media. And thank you for everything, brother. Just keep going.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching the Damn Music Show here with Forrest Galante. All the stuff will be below. Ring that notification bell. Tag along. Follow along. You know the drills. Can't wait to hear what everybody has to say. Forrest, thank you so much for joining us.